How's it going, guys? I hope you're having a fantastic day. If you're new to the channel, my name is Parker Nierenstein and this is Vehicle Virgins. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what it's like to drive the new Porsche Panamera Turbo S e-hybrid Sport Turismo. Now, if you haven't seen my video yet going over 10 insane features of the Sport Turismo, I highly suggest doing so. There's some stuff that I'm not going to cover in this video. And of course, the majority of this video is going to be about the actual driving experience. First up, this is the key, very slim, fits in your pocket very, very well. Now, the Porsche Panamera Turbo SE Hybrid is, of course, a hybrid. Under the hood of the SE Hybrid is a 4-liter twin turbocharged V8. I love the cover over the engine. It's absolutely beautiful with this 4-liter V8 Turbo SE Hybrid badging and the nice lime green. And then behind that, in between the engine and transmission, is actually an electric motor. Now, the combined output of the two is 680 horsepower and 626 pound-feet of torque. This thing is ridiculously fast. As I mentioned in the 10 insane features video, it's got 10 piston front calipers, carbon ceramic units all around. We've got a double wishbone front suspension setup in the front, as well as a multi-link suspension setup in the rear. It actually has lift control, height adjustability, which is really nice when you need to go a little bit more off-road, which this car is capable of. Let's take a look at the trunk space. You've got a ton of storage space in the SE Hybrid. How many sports cars can you think of with 680 horsepower that can fit a tripod, a slider, all of my camera gear? You fold the seats down, you get 49 cubic feet of storage. You can fit golf clubs, a bunch of ski equipment, as well as mountain bikes. Now let's go ahead and hop into the back seats. Check out the space in here. Tons of space in the back, tons of legroom, tons of headroom. We've got 2 different sunroofs. Then we've also got a climate control center in the rear here with very, very nice to toggle buttons. But overall, the space here is plentiful. If you do want a little more space, you can opt for the executive package, which gives you an extra 5.9 inches of rear legroom. Pull this down, got 2 cup holders. The seats in the rear are actually really comfortable. All right, let's hop in the front, shall we? I love the Panamera Turbo S riding on the sill. Burmester upgraded sound system. Check this out, guys. Beautiful, beautiful instrument cluster, center mounted tachometer that's analog with digital screens on the side. 12.3-inch touchscreen here. Speaking of which, definitely need to crank the air conditioning on. Touch display down here with haptic feedback, feels fantastic. And this is the drive lever to put it into gear. All right, let's go ahead and put the seatbelt on. The touchscreen display in this is absolutely fantastic. The graphics are epic. The responsiveness is lightning fast. I like how if you bring up the different driving modes, you've also got driving mode selections up on the screen itself, anything from e-power all the way up to Sport Plus. We'll talk a little bit more about those. You can also adjust the height of the chassis. You can lift it up for more off-roading environments or lower it down. We'll put it in the lower setting. Now, speaking of the screen, the only thing I am a little bit disappointed of is the backup camera graphics. They're not quite as clear as I'm used to in cars of this price range. That being said, we do have a plethora of views to choose from. Here is the frontal camera. We've got a side view so you don't curb your wheels. As well as a wide angle front and a wide angle rear. It's funny, it's Panorama, but I read that as Panamera. All right, and then we've got these beautiful touchscreen buttons down here. I'm in love with the steering wheel. It feels great in your hands, has just the right amount of buttons. We've got volume controls. We can control what's on the displays here to the left and to the right of the analog screen, and you can even customize a button here if you want, as well as take calls. All right, one of my favorite parts about the car is how easily you can activate launch control. Given the fact that this is capable of doing 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds, just under 3 seconds, being able to activate launch control quickly is awesome because you're likely to do it all of the time. Another thing that I really like is how easy it is to put it into Sport Plus mode. Typically in cars, you've got to go from Comfort mode to Sport Plus, and then if you want to go back to Comfort, you got to go back down to Sport and then Comfort mode. In this, you can turn the selection dial for the different modes in either direction, both clockwise and counterclockwise. So we're going to put it into Sport Plus right now. And literally, in order to activate launch control, all you have to do is be in first gear in Sport Plus, put your foot on the brake and floor the gas. It revs up to 5,000 RPMs. And then you let off the brake and boom, it takes off like a bat out of hell. The acceleration is truly, truly remarkable. All right, let's get going, shall we? That is unbelievable, especially for something that weighs 5,300 pounds. But part of why it's so impressive, that first 30 miles an hour, is actually due to the fact that it has that electric motor that fills in the gaps for low-end torque. We get all 626 pound-feet of torque available at just 1,400 RPMs, which is almost unheard of. And that means the initial acceleration is unbelievable. It means passing happens instantly, and it means you don't exhibit any turbo lag whatsoever. So we've got an 8-speed double clutch transmission. Porsche usually has their 7-speed double clutch PDK, but in this it's an 8-speed. The top 2 gears, 7th and 8th, are actually just for cruising at high speeds for better fuel efficiency. It hits its top speed in 6th gear. But when you're in Sport Plus mode, you've got steering wheel mounted paddles like you're used to in Porsche 911s that feel fantastic to actuate, and they're in the right positions at 9 and 3. The responsiveness of the transmission is instantaneous, especially with upshifts. Now, one thing I have noticed with this car compared to its non-hybrid counterparts, and I'm not sure if it's tuning on the Panamera or because it's a hybrid, but it does seem like the downshifts sometimes are a little bit slower to respond, like that one right there, than I'm used to from Porsche's PDK. But still, it is tremendously fast, definitely quicker downshifts than you get in the E63. And then you're on the power, and the level of torque and acceleration is unbelievable. It is a really easy car to drive as well, especially if you are in e-power mode, just cruising along. This is the full electric mode with a range of 31 miles. It's got a 14.1 kilowatt hour battery that can be charged in 2.5 hours, which is actually pretty quick. The visibility is fantastic out of the front. In the rear, it's great as well. We've got the massive rear window. Over your shoulders, there's not too many blind spots, maybe a little bit over your left shoulder. But other than that, the seating position and how the power comes on, especially in those hybrid modes, it's such that anybody could drive this car. And because it's all-wheel drive, you don't have to worry about losing traction, spinning out and crashing like you might on a Hellcat or something of similar power and weight. This thing is just easy and refined. It's really isolated from the exterior as well. You really don't hear any road noise, any tire noise. There's tons of cars passing me by, but I don't really even hear them. Just serene in here. The only problem with that is it's a little bit quiet, even with the exhaust in sports exhaust mode with the flaps open. It does feel like it's a little bit too tame. I wish it had a bit more growl to it into the interior. Obviously, you can fix that with an aftermarket exhaust, but from the factory with the sports exhaust on the E63 or the BMW M5, you get a louder exhaust note, which I appreciate given the fact that it is a high-performance sports sedan, not just, you know, something like a luxury Panamera Executive or an S-Class or a 7 Series. One of my favorite buttons on the car, after we get this little acceleration in, oh my gosh, that's quick, is the push to pass button. So we've got the turn dial here for the different driving modes, but let's say you're cruising along in e-power mode and you want to get the most out of the car quickly, but you don't want to switch it into Sport Plus mode. You simply click this little button in the center of the drive select mode, and instantly it gives you the sport response display on the screen. It downshifts into the proper gear. It spools up the turbos. It gets the electric motor ready for a pass or just for flat out acceleration. I love that. I wish more cars had it. And then after 20 seconds of kill mode, it goes back into normal e-power mode and is a nice, luxurious car once again. I love the Sport Chrono package with the second hand going along. Reminds me of an analog clock, but then you have a digital clock there below it, so you can tell the time really quickly. I love how the interior flows together. This 12.3-inch screen, nice and digital, then it flows into the more classic, classy wood with the silver accents, and then we've got a mix of analog and digital on the screen here, which is just nice. Now, an option on the Panamera Turbo SE Hybrid is rear wheel steering. Rear wheel steering, and I think it's an option that you should get. It's only about $1,300. Has many benefits. One, at low speeds, it makes it easier to maneuver in parking lots because the rear wheels actually turn in the opposite direction of the fronts, virtually shortening the wheelbase, making it more nimble. The other benefit, other than parking lots, is it means at low speed cornering on really tight twisties, even though this car is long and heavy, it means it feels more nimble. Then at high speeds, they turn in the same direction as the front wheels, the rears and the front do, which virtually enhances the wheelbase and heightens stability significantly at the high speed, which is really, really nice. So this car is unbelievably stable, and you could cruise at 155 miles an hour on the Autobahn, no problem at all. The question is this worth the extra money over the E63 wagon or the M5 competition? And that's a difficult one. A well-optioned E63 or M5 might set you back $130,000 or $140,000. This, on the other hand, starts at $190,000 for the Sport Turismo, and as option is $217,000. So significantly more money. Is it worth the extra money? I mean, it really depends on the type of buyer. Do you appreciate the looks? I like the way the Sport Turismo looks more than either of those cars. It just has this unique elegance to it. It's just like nothing else on the road. Then do you value it being a hybrid for fuel economy reasons? It says combined it's supposed to get 20 miles per gallon. Unlikely if you drive it the way you probably want to drive a car like this, but it is there. It is possible to get 20 miles per gallon. And then you've got the full electric mode where you can cruise around town without causing any emissions whatsoever. If you have just short little commutes, that might actually be pretty cool. The interior is a step above those. Is it $100,000 difference? Not really, but there's an allure to this Porsche that those cars don't have. You see E63s and M5s all the time. You do not see these. And that's what makes it special. And it is just stupid fast. That initial acceleration, the 0 to 30, is out of this world crazy. Steering feel in the Panamera Turbo SE Hybrid is awesome. It doesn't have a massive amount of communication, but it's nice and tight. When you are in the stiffest suspension setting, there is very, very minimal body roll. It feels like it wants to carve through the canyons, which is impressive for something that is so large, actually. I expected it to be a little bit floatier and have a bit more body roll. When you put it into normal mode with the suspension, it does exhibit more body roll, but is unbelievably comfortable to drive. Everything in the interior feels nice to the touch. I mean, just the turning indicators alone have these lovely actuation feeling to it. The knurled metal here on the dash feels excellent. Just putting it into gear feels nice. It's really pleasing. The sound that this screen makes in the center console. We've got cup holders here. We've got a good amount of storage space in here. I shouldn't say a good amount, but there is a little slot here where you can put your phone, which is nice. We've got 3 USB ports back there. Right down there, USB port here, cup holders in the rear. So you got everything that you need luxury-wise in here and tech feature-wise. There's a plethora of safety features as well. We've got 2 different sunroofs. The controls for those are right here. Memory buttons for your garage, and right here you can click this button to instantly activate the parking camera, which is nice. There is one thing that does take a little bit of getting used to in the Turbo SE Hybrid, and that is the brake pedal. Now, the gas has fantastic responsiveness. It feels really nice to press. It's really firm and feels confident. The brake, it's firm, it's hard to press, it inspires confidence, but the top little portion of the brake pedal has this strange kind of vibration to it. And the reason being is because it is doing regenerative braking. So it feels a little bit abnormal at first. The brakes are trying to regenerate excess energy in order to recharge the batteries so that your e-hold mode, your e-power mode has extended range. But it does feel a little bit strange at times when you click the brake and you feel this kind of almost ABS feeling to it. But after a while, you realize that's normal, that's what it always does, and you kind of forget about it entirely. But other than that, I mean, this car is fantastic to drive. A little bit louder exhaust, and getting used to that brake pedal and the driving experience is absolutely perfect. All right, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna shut up now, give you pure, unedited exhaust note without me talking, showing you what it's like to drive from a first-person point of view.